The new Mad Max looks pretty bloody cool, kind of. Let me get into that. So I watched the new trailer and thought, awesome. It's only been 10 years since Mad Max Fury Road, and that is one of the action films that I really recommend to people because it's awesome. A lot of practical on-location stunts, high-octane pacing, incredible style, insane world building, and miraculous motors made Fury Road a wicked watch. Furiosa has some big boots to fill, and right at the end of the trailer it asks a question that I throw straight back at it.
Do you have it in you to make it epic?
So I'm going to start with the positives. This interview was 9 years ago after the release of Fury Road.
I know what happened to her arm, yeah. And George was really helpful in kind of, giving me access to all of the material that he kind of developed as backstories, and I think he will eventually use them if there are more of these.
The idea for the story of this film as a prequel has had a long old time to develop. It was already in the mind of the creator, writer and director of all of the Mad Maxes, George Miller. How Furiosa lost her arm was almost treated like legend on set and had already alluded to being the next movie. In the trailer it says that the overarching story is similar to Fury Road, that Furiosa is still trying to find her way home. I really enjoy the world of Mad Max, so it'd be cool to see more of it. The trailer shows a few new places like a lush forest and the bullet farm brought up but never visited in Fury Road, which I'll enjoy following the plot beats through as we get to see more of Immortan Joe, which is also going to be really cool to see more of his origins. The vehicles in the trailer all look really cool, with the chariot in particular being a standout, and it's one of the franchise's biggest lures. The whole world that these people live in is governed by fuel and the power of your motor. I just secretly hope that we get an appearance of a Ford Falcon Pursuit Special, even if Max isn't in this one, and I still just can't believe how dirty they done that car in Fury Road. That scene still hurts to watch. Anya Taylor-Joy is a good actor in everything that I've seen her in, giving solid performances in The Menu, Last Night in Soho and The Queen's Gambit. These are some of her strongest performances, and on top of this, she's also been in New Mutants that shows that she has experience with roles in action combating CGI doodad monster things. With the addition of Chris Hemsworth there as well, being a Marvel green screen veteran at this point, I'm sure he can make things really work out. It's a strange choice to put a fake nose on him. I thought his face was a part of his whole brand, usually one of the main points he cast in him. It's nice to see that they're moving away from that. Also, of course, he still has a bloody red cape in this film. It's nice to stick to the old faithful Thor cape, hey. With all of these positives, however, there are some pitfalls. For example, the story. I am looking forwards to it. They've had 10 years to bake a solid, good story out of this. With that comes one issue. It's a prequel. Furiosa is going to have complete 100% unbreakable plot armor. It's hard to put stakes on someone that we know is going to be around for future events. No matter what happens, in the back of my mind, I'll always have, she'll be fine, even if it does cost her an arm but not a leg. In the trailer, we do see mech battle arm. Okay, so she does lose her arm in this film. The look of it in this trailer looks a little bit like Alita Battle Angel rather than the previous movie's rendition of it. Very polished. I don't know, something's not quite right about it. If you compare this to this, I'm not sure. I know it's the Mark 1 version, however, it looks too polished and a little bit too obviously CGI. Continuing on the CGI train, I know that CGI is needed to make these movies and make bigger and more epic things happen. However, take a look at these two shots. This one from Fury Road that still breaks my heart. Still very practical. Then we get this pulled from the Furiosa trailer. It's very obviously CGI, and I'm not sure why for this shot they needed this. Maybe it didn't look right practically, maybe it's too dangerous to do in that specific car practically, I don't know. Over the several times that I've watched this trailer, I feel like a lot of work is going to be done on a green screen and a soundstage instead of practically and on location, which is a shame because it loses so much charm and personality. However, I hope to be proved wrong. CGI is a great tool, used sparingly. Used too much and I believe your film loses personality. More practical effects have always had more charm tenfold. Even though I'm in the negative parts of this, I'm just going to say it again, the vehicles look really great. I hope they've got an army of stuntmen to drive and ride all of them to make some insane footage and movie moments. I saw the chariot going past an explosion, that was all very practical, and it looks pretty awesome. With the vehicles being mentioned, I feel like we didn't see too many in the trailer, and I feel like there's a lot of very iconic vehicles in Mad Max Fury Road, so I hope that we see more vehicles in the Furiosa film than what we've seen in the trailer. For the action in the film, Chris Hemsworth is an action veteran at this point, with a long list of action films in his catalogue. The same can't be said for Anya Taylor-Joy, with I think New Mutants being her only role against droves of computer-generated baddies. I've said this before and I'll say it again, she is a good actor, and I enjoyed seeing what I've seen of her catalogue. However, there's a pitfall in action films that's happening at the moment. Good actors, bad action. An example, the new Star Wars products. They've taken a massive drop in quality in what should be big main name character fights, both in the shows and in major film releases. Other examples are Iron Fist, literally a show about ancient fighting techniques, kung fu, and the power that comes with it. Tragic fight scenes when compared to Daredevil, made by the same production house at the same time. Another example is Black Panther's final fight scene when T'Challa and Killmonger are fighting each other in that CGI mess of goop. It was a massive letdown and it was such an anti-climax for such a good film, and I really hope that Furiosa avoids these pitfalls. However, what I've seen in most of the trailer is looking pretty baller. So just take a little look and run through the trailer. We see Furiosa stumbling through the desert after a bike accident, which is very reminiscent of a shot from the first film, with tall structures in the background. I believe that this is the waterfalls from Fury Road. This whole moment has a voiceover of she has to find her way back home, really emphasizing what Furiosa's main motivations are that continue through this film and then Fury Road. We're then with a band of vehicles driving over and into a horizon with cinematic titles zooming into us with the story synopsis that really emphasizes Furiosa's main motivation and a little bit of background story saying that she'd been taken from her family and she's looking for her way back. The trailer then takes us to what looks to be Dementus hosting some sort of race for the rights to a young slave. I believe this young slave to be Furiosa, and I'll explain that a little bit later. In the trailer we cut to a rider putting on a helmet, and then it cuts to other vehicles. We get shown a face-off between Dementus and Immortan Joe. I believe that this is going to be one of the major plot threads of the film, and there's going to be a power struggle between Dementus and Immortan Joe. Later in the trailer we see Dementus using a few familiar vehicles in battle in the big rig, and it looks like he's charging either the Bullet Farm or Gas Town. We then get another proper look at the big rig, and it looks awesome. It's being attacked in this shot. However, we can also see maces attached to a spiral, and I believe that's some sort of whirly gig saw, and that gets shown later in the trailer. I believe that this rig holds some sort of oil or propellant, and I'll get to that in a minute. And now we see Furiosa masking up, putting on the axle grease makeup to cover the top of her head. We also see Dementus at the Bullet Farm being showered in bullets while hanging off the edge over some sort of explosion happening below him. Still rocking that trusty red cape though. We get a flash cut of Furiosa coming out from underneath the dirt after some sort of motocross accident, and then we cut back to lush green pastures, which is where she was taken from, highlighting the motivation as to why she's doing all of this. We then cut to somebody running with their arms tied behind their back. I'm not sure if this is a character heavily featured in the trailer. Judging by body shape size and hair, I don't think it's someone that we've seen in the trailer just yet. However, I could be wrong because this film seems to have quite a wide timeline. We then get this shot of Furiosa and a friend in a cave.
Oh, friend!
It looks to be some sort of romantic affair, however that's just me guessing. And then we flash back to the moment where Furiosa's gotten out of the dirt after a motocross accident, and we cut to a monster truck. I think that this monster truck is going to be chasing her through a period of the film. Then we get this shot that I discussed earlier, jumping over a dune, and then we cut into Furiosa driving said car, which reminds me of a few shots from Fury Road. We then get a cut of the rider from earlier in the trailer who looked to be riding for the slave child, and she's riding away with that slave child on her bike. We get a solid overhead shot of the Bullet Farm, and it looks massive and awesome. Then cuts to a shot of Dementus surrounded by other people covered in red dust, and Immortan Joe looking disappointed. I believe this will probably be after some sort of siege of some description. We didn't get this. Furiosa is kind of fist pumping, but I believe that is going to be the V8 symbol that the worshippers of Immortan Joe do. Then we get an interesting shot of Dementus looking to be leading a group into battle whilst on a chariot. Also, nice bit of product placement there, BMW.
BMW, the bikes that ride themselves, each sold separately, can be used to pull chariots.
Then Furiosa is on the big rig, harpooning a helicopter. At this shot, we can see the maces doing their twirly thing in action. And then we cut through that sequence, and Furiosa's driving a car away with another one chasing her. She somehow shuts a gate on it, crushing that car and I'd imagine killing whoever's inside, and then using that gate as cover from an explosion. My guess, judging by the shots and the continuity, is from the big rig that was probably carrying oil and she blew it up, most likely after some sort of fight with Dementus. We get more flash cuts. We see Furiosa shooting a rifle and a very, very CGI building collapsing into some sort of ridge. Furiosa shows off her new CG prosthetic arm in front of a bunch of telescopes and spotoscopes. I believe that all of this is to highlight her as some sort of sniper assassin type character. We then get more flash cuts of ignition starting and Dementus' character driving the big rig that Furiosa is attached to the bottom of. Dementus drives over a motorbike rider, possibly in an attempt to kill Furiosa and get her off the bottom of the truck. All of this is going on while Furiosa is unchaining a bike from the bottom for herself. And then we get to the ends of the trailer. We get the "Can you make it epic" line and a glamour shot of Furiosa and a title card. So that was the trailer, and what does it all tell us? That the story's going to take place during a power struggle between Immortan Joe and Dementus. It's going to be some sort of siege or battle for or against the Bullet Farm and Gas Town led by Dementus. Furiosa seems to be on Immortan Joe's side of this power struggle as she's seen battling Dementus and fighting on and against his assets like the big rig and blowing that up in the trailer. Along with that, Furiosa is seen in this poster wearing the symbol of Immortan Joe. Also, this shot with the fist bumping and the V8, I believe that to be the worshipping of the V8, which is blessed upon you by Immortan Joe, if I remember correctly, from Fury Road. I think that Furiosa was the girl in the cage at the start of the trailer. You can see her with this bear, and now Dementus, the character, has it later in the trailer, and I believe that Dementus has taken her away from her home that she's trying to get back to. With all of that said, what are your thoughts? I'm really looking forward to this film, but I am not without my doubts, as I've mentioned in this video. It looks awesome, the story is shaping up to be class, the action in the trailer all looks pretty solid, and it would be cool to see these characters in this world again. I didn't actually think that they would make another Mad Max after Fury Road, even though it was such a bloody good film. Let me know what you think. I'm open to any discussion down in the comments. I do always talk back. Do you think I've got anything wrong in this video? Let me know. Please do all the YouTube things, it's much appreciated, it really helps. The next video that I'll be taking a look at will be Kong x Godzilla, the new Empire, because we just need another Godzilla Kong film. Of course we do. Thanks for checking out this video. I appreciate you. Cheers. Bye.